Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. The Fantastic Four movie was just released. There are a couple really big post-credit scenes paying off some huge things we've been waiting to see since the last summer at Comic-Con, so we'll break them both down, and what really happened to Galactus, Franklin Richards, Silver Surfer at the end of the movie, and how the Fantastic Four post-credit scenes connect to the Thunderbolts post-credit scene, because I know everybody wonders how they're going to be setting Avengers Doomsday up, so careful for spoilers if you have not seen the movie yet. We will be talking about everything that happens at the end during the post-credit scenes. There are a couple really important things that they do during these scenes, setting Franklin Richards up as a really powerful mutant inside the MCU, the upcoming X-Men stuff, as well as explaining how Avengers Doomsday is supposed to begin. Literally, while I was making this video, I got one of the worst colds that I've had all year long, which is why my voice now sounds super boomy like Galactus in the movie. We will see how fried my voice gets trying to do that 45-minute long or hour-long full breakdown Easter eggs video tomorrow. At the end of the movie, Galactus did not just come to consume Franklin Richards. Bold move. Marvel made it seem for a little while like they were going to let him eat the baby. Just remind you of Austin Powers and Fat Bastard. Get in his belly. Galactus had sensed that Franklin Richards was destined to replace him as the Hungerer one day, become the new version of Galactus, which is literally right out of Marvel Comics. Matt Shakman pointed out a couple specific comic book runs like Jonathan Hickman's Fantastic Four run and some Mark Waid's stuff when they were referencing things in the movie and the way they're setting up Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars. We will unpack a lot of that in other videos because there's a lot of stuff that's not really relevant for the actual post-credit scenes. During the Jonathan Hickman Fantastic Four run, Franklin merges with a past version of himself to juice up his power levels and uses that to resurrect Galactus, making him his herald so they can kill a bunch of mad Celestials. Then during Mark Waid's History of the Marvel Universe, this is the more direct reference to him becoming the new Hunger, it actually revealed that Franklin and Galactus are destined to be the last two living beings to see the death of the universe, and at that time, Franklin Richards is destined to merge with Galactus, allowing him to survive, transforming into an energy wave and becoming the next version of Galactus. So in the movie, this is what Galactus is actually sensing, like he can see what's going to happen with them eventually, and that's why he wants Franklin Richards. He wants to start that process of them merging into a new being right now.
Get in my belly!
In the movie, Galactus literally calls out that Franklin Richards was born with the power cosmic, so it's a slight twist to Franklin's origin story in the now new MCU from his comic book origin story with the cosmic control rod. We could talk more about that in my full breakdown Easter eggs video, but in the MCU now, he wields the power cosmic. It's the same power that Galactus wields, and it's the same power that he grants to his heralds. So if it wasn't clear, he wasn't trying to make Franklin Richards his herald, he wanted to merge with Franklin, thinking that would end his cycle as the Hungerer. The Fantastic Four save Franklin from Galactus, merging with him by pushing Galactus through a portal to a distant part of their 828 universe. I know it sounds like the 838 universe, but the universe in the movie that it takes place in is the 828 universe. It's meant to be a direct reference to Jack Kirby's birthday, November 28th. There's some changes with the Silver Surfer plot, like them using the Shala Ball version, but she rebels against Galactus to help the Fantastic Four defeat Galactus the way that Norrin Radd did in the initial Galactus comic book story. She helps push Galactus through the portal at the end of the movie, and both of them, Silver Surfer and Galactus, are now on like a distant part of that universe, so they're still alive at the end of the movie. They can come back in Avengers Doomsday or Secret Wars. They wind up saving their world from being consumed, and then they do the Thunderbolts post-credit scene trick where there's a time jump, but this time they jump forward 4 years in time, which I think is meant to be another Fantastic Four pun. There are many Four puns in the movie. The only difference at the end of the movie is that the world now calls them the Fantastic Five because they consider Franklin Richards to be a member of the team, even though he's still a tiny baby. I think there's another big X-Men reference here in the actual book that she's reading to Franklin because he talks about butterflies first. I think this is first a reference to the butterfly effect in how Avengers Doomsday is going to pick up in what happens later during this scene with Doctor Doom. Basically, this whole scene, this post-credit scene with Doctor Doom is what sets up the beginning of Avengers Doomsday. Sue Storm then goes back to the kitchen and asks Herbie to get the book that Franklin loves, and he grabs Charles Darwin's Origin of the Species. So this is a real big X-Men Easter egg. I think this is a reference to Franklin being one of the most powerful mutant characters in Marvel Comics. He was canonized as a mutant when they introduced Agatha Harkness to the comics. If you remember during the original X-Men movie, Charles Xavier, Professor X, was also talking about Charles Darwin's Origin of the Species because of the whole X gene of it all. The next stage in human evolution.
Good morning, Logan.
She tells Herbie, no, not that one. They just read the Charles Darwin Origin of the Species book yesterday, and Franklin does love it, like he really does enjoy it. That's how smart he is, too, at this young age. She says, why not something a little bit more fun today? Grabs a more fun-oriented book, not science-oriented, and as she's walking back to Franklin in the living room, this really ominous-sounding music starts playing. She senses Dr. Doom and activates her powers, and then as the camera crowns over the top of the TV, you actually see Dr. Doom bent over in his classic suit from the comics, grabbing Franklin Richards like he's about to yoink him. And here's the crazy thing, even though you don't see Robert Downey Jr.'s face, you actually see him take his mask off, so Franklin is actually touching Dr. Doom's face. If you couldn't tell, that's Franklin literally with his hand to Dr. Doom's face. So this is about as close to a first look of Robert Downey Jr.'s Dr. Doom as we've gotten so far, is that you see his mask, you see that it's the silver of the comics, like this silver-looking metal, and you see his gauntlet a little bit and his classic green hood, but that's about it. Here's the thing about Franklin, though. It doesn't look like he's afraid of Dr. Doom. So it's possible that Dr. Doom isn't stealing Franklin, and Franklin is willingly going with him to do whatever he's doing at the beginning of Avengers Doomsday. It'll take a little while to unpack this. Hopefully we'll get some more context clues from other teasers. There's still going to be 1,000 questions about what Robert Downey Jr.'s Dr. Doom's armor suit is actually going to look like in Avengers Doomsday. You can just tell that they want to save that reveal maybe for the Spider-Man Brand New Day post-credit scene or the actual beginning of Avengers Doomsday, like that first big teaser trailer. But the whole idea here is this implies that the beginning of Avengers Doomsday is the Fantastic Four coming to the MCU across universes, chasing Dr. Doom, who has Franklin Richards, and it's the real reason why they showed up in the Thunderbolts post-credit scene. They're trying to chase Dr. Doom and find Franklin Richards. There's still a ton of questions about how Marvel is going to change the Time Runs Out comic book storyline with the Molecule Man and Dr. Doom of it all, going around destroying different versions of Molecule Man to destroy universes. But supposedly, Marvel has vastly simplified the comic book storyline.
Credit for just outright asking the question. And I'll give myself credit for trying to evade it and avoid it entirely.
They do that all the time, so it might just be that Dr. Doom is using Franklin Richards' power to destroy different universes. We will see in the next year or so when we start actually getting teaser trailers for the movie. Then you get the text that you see in most Marvel movie credits saying the Fantastic Four will return in Avengers Doomsday. The rest of the credits play, then the actual post-credit scene pays off the animated Fantastic Four TV show that gets referenced earlier in the movie a couple different times. More of a funny callback to that in the real-life 1967 Fantastic Four TV show. Some of you watching this video might actually be old enough to have watched that original 1967 TV show when it first aired on TV, but I think most of us just watched it in syndication. You can actually get all that stuff on Disney Plus now, like all the classic Fantastic Four TV shows. Earlier in the movie, there's this big thing where everybody keeps asking Ben Grimm to say, it's clobbering time, say the thing, and he keeps telling them, I never actually said that in real life, that was just something that the cartoon version of me said. When you're watching the cartoon play on their TV in the living room, it's meant to feel like Franklin Richards is watching their classic TV show. It's a brand new intro that they actually wrote for this particular episode, but it sounds a lot like the classic 1967 Fantastic Four TV show intro, and it plays out a little bit like that classic intro. The animation style is meant to be similar to that 1967 version. One of the big differences, though, is that Herbie is in that classic TV show. He didn't actually show up in real life until the 1978 Fantastic Four animated TV show. And it's basically just a montage of the team fighting all their biggest villains from the comics, just like they did in the original real-life animated show. The whole movie actually starts with a montage on the Ted Gilbert show, playing flashbacks of them in the real life of the movie, fighting some of their biggest villains during their first 4 years of having their powers. When the movie picks up, it's year 4 of the Fantastic Four, another big 4 pun. During the cartoon, Ben Grimm also does say it's clobberin' time, paying off the joke, I only said it on the cartoon. One of the villains they fight, Red Ghost, shows up in the TV show scene with his super apes. John Malkovich was supposed to appear in the actual movie as the Red Ghost character, but his scenes got cut out. Matt Shakman said that there was just too much stuff going on in the movie, and they wanted to keep it pretty short. It is a pretty short movie.
He defeated Red Ghost and his super apes.
I think this scene during the actual post-credits was just meant to pay off that initial scene of him in real life, because a lot of the villains that they fight in this scene are actually referenced earlier in the movie that they actually did fight in those first 4 years of having their powers. Really good example of that is that Mole Man shows up during this TV show. He's a big character in the movie too, played by Paul Walter Hauser, but since the first 4 years of their existence have gone down, he's actually now become their ally. Then after the cartoon intro theme song finishes, Herbie makes a noise, turns the TV knob off, and goes back to the final credits, playing a message from Jack Kirby himself about how he baked a lot of himself into his characters. It reads, "If you look at my characters, you will find me, no matter what kind of character you create or assume you become, a little of yourself must remain there." And it says Jack Kirby 828 for the designation of the universe in this movie that they took place in, which is Jack Kirby's real life birthday. He passed away February 6, 1994, which they also list under his quote. When it actually comes to Robert Downey Jr.'s Doctor Doom, they do imply that he is the Doctor Doom of their universe. There are a couple brief references to him earlier in the movie, mostly to Latveria, but Doctor Doom himself does not show up during the actual body of the movie. He's only in this post-credit scene. Earlier in the movie, when the world is trying to discuss how they're going to deal with the problem of Galactus, like, our world's going to be destroyed unless we turn over this baby to Galactus, how are we going to handle this? During a United Nations kind of scene, you actually see Latveria with an empty chair in the background. So, like, there are references to Doctor Doom existing on this Earth, but you don't actually see him in the movie. Now we know exactly why they did that, because they wanted to save for this big post-credit scene reveal. You can also let me know in the comments if you actually think that Franklin Richards seems like he actually wants to help Doctor Doom in this post-credit scene, and if it's not him stealing Franklin's actually going with him. I think the idea is they just want to make his character feel like he's more sympathetic and not an outright traditional type of villain. So the scene with Franklin makes it seem like he's sympathizing with Doctor Doom in some way, like he's empathizing with him. So it just seems like what's going on here is a little more complicated than what they're letting on and what Doctor Doom's true motivations actually are.
I tell you, I like playing complicated characters.
There's still a lot of questions, like they don't outright confirm that he's the Doctor Doom of their universe, but they make it seem like he is the Doctor Doom of their world. Kevin Feige also revealed that he's not just going to be an Iron Man variant that started calling himself Doctor Doom, he's always going to have thought of himself as Victor Von Doom that becomes Doctor Doom eventually. We will see what that actually looks like on screen, because the Russo brothers haven't even finished the script as they started filming the movie. They keep changing it on the fly as they film, which is the same way that they filmed Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame. So the script today is not going to be the script tomorrow. Like I said, a lot of the details that people are asking about, they will probably just gloss over. It'll be a vastly simplified version of the time runs out in the Jonathan Hickman Secret Wars plot through Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars. But if there's any other Easter eggs or references that you spotted in the actual post-credit scenes or at the very end of the movie that you have questions about, just write them below in the comments. And my full breakdown and Easter eggs for the entire movie will post on Friday, so be sure to enable alerts for my channel so you don't miss that. Hopefully my voice isn't super fried by then, because I still have a monster cold. I know there's going to be a ton of questions about what they're going to do with Galactus and Silver Surfer. What about Norrin Rad, Silver Surfer showing up in the MCU in the future? Don't worry, we will get into that during my full breakdown video. Everybody click here for that. I'll update the link as soon as I post that. And click here for all my other Fantastic Four videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.